Hi, my name's Isaac, and this is a brand new 2023 Toyota Camry XLE Hybrid. And today, I'm gonna review it for you guys. Now, I am ecstatic to review this car because it's not just any Camry. Okay, technically it is just a normal Toyota Camry. It's not like a Transformer or something. No, it's exciting to me because it's my first press car. Press car, I hear you say. What do you mean, like you press a button? No, I've reviewed cars with buttons before. No, I mean press in the sense of the news, journalism. So instead of going to a dealership and borrowing this car from them for a few hours, Toyota has lent me this car for an entire week. So I'm able to give you guys a lot more in-depth thoughts on the car because I've had a lot more time behind the wheel. So without further ado, let's get started. Starting out here with the front end of the Camry and the headlights, you'll get full LEDs right here and LED daytime running lights. Now, these are not actually flickering in real life. They are a static light. That shutter that you see with the running lights, that is an issue with the camera's refresh rate and the LED light refresh rate. One more thing I wanted to touch upon here that I wouldn't have even normally noticed, but since I've had a lot more time with the car, I did, is these headlights actually turn with the steering wheel. So if you're driving at nighttime, they will move with the car, which is super convenient, a very cool feature that I love that's usually reserved for a lot higher end luxury cars. But as we move around this, I think you're gonna see this Camry is kitted out pretty good and would give a lot of BMWs a run for their money. Moving further into the front here, you'll have your Toyota badge, which is highlighted blue because this is the hybrid model. That's how you can always tell the hybrids apart. And then below that, there is a front camera. And even further down on the grille, there is parking sensors incorporated in. That Toyota badge on the front also doubles as a sensor that works in conjunction with a host of other cameras and sensors around the Camry for Toyota's Safety Sense 2.5 Plus technology, which includes pre-collision, full-speed dynamic radar cruise control, automatic high beams, road sign assist, blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert, and a host of other safety technologies, making this the safest Camry yet. Moving underneath the hood in this Camry, it is powered by a 2.5-liter four-cylinder, which makes 176 horsepower and 163 pound-feet of torque. But with the hybrid system, that actually brings the net horsepower up to 208. Also, the EPA estimated fuel economy for this car is 44 city, 47 highway, with 46 combined. Now, since I've been able to drive the car nearly 400 miles in the last week, I can say that I have averaged 42.3 miles per gallon, which is lower than the EPA estimate, but when we move to the interior, I'll tell you guys why I think that is. Moving to the profile of the Camry, starting down here with the wheels and tires, you're going to get 235/45R Hancooks, around 18-inch wheels. And then if we move up to the mirrors, they are body colored with turn signal indicators incorporated into them and cameras for the 360-degree camera system. There is also blind spot monitoring, and they are power adjusting mirrors, not power folding on this particular one. Though this car does have keyless entry, so I have the key in my pocket. You can tap lock there, and I can also unlock it by just putting my hand behind the door. Very convenient. As we move further down the profile, I really like the body lines on this Camry. I think it's very sharp, and you have kind of a little wing spoiler incorporated into the rear. Then you'll have, again, a kind of glowing blue Toyota badge, your Camry logo. There is a backup camera right here, XLE hybrid badges, and parking sensors along the rear. There's also one individual tailpipe. No dual exhaust on this particular Camry. There's a button right here that's gonna pop open our trunk lid, and there is a ton of space back here. Like, it is very open. Definitely could fit quite a lot of luggage, cargo, bodies, you know, whatever you're doing. Everybody makes the bodies joke. Yeah, it's just the easiest joke to make. I don't know, you could fit a bunch of watermelons back here too, but nobody's making jokes about that. Regardless, you'll also have a pull tab right here to release that front seat, and then there's another one to release that to give you a pass-through for even more cargo if you need that. And then below this Camry mat here, if we lift this up, there is a donut and a spare tire kit right here. So that's nice to have. A lot of cars nowadays come with a fix-a-flat, which is far less convenient compared to a donut. Before we fully move to the interior, I do want to highlight the key fob very quickly. It's a pretty standard Toyota key. The only thing of note is, again, you'll get that Toyota badge with the blue highlight around it, even on the key, and it says Camry right there. You'll have lock, unlock, panic, and also a button to pop open that trunk. Moving to the interior of the new Camry, it is incredibly luxurious in here. It feels very premium and upscale. I'll show you what I mean. There is a lot to get to in here. Let's start with the door panel. This is a soft touch material up here, and then down here it's soft touch as well. You'll have some storage, little cup holders right here, and your window controls. One thing that's nice about the window controls is all four of them are power, one touch down, one touch up, which is very convenient. Then you'll have lock, unlock, your window lockout button, and your mirror controls. And then down here, you'll have your hood release. This is a little storage cubby. Then you'll have your automatic high beams, traction control off. This is a camera view for a 360-degree camera that this has. We'll talk about this in a little bit more detail when I get to the backup camera. Then you'll have trunk release. This opens your fuel door, and you have a heated steering wheel. Speaking of the steering wheel, this is manually tilting and telescoping, so it's nice to have that feature incorporated in there. Then up here you will have your brightness for the digital center gauge cluster screen, and you'll have your odometer trip button right there. Pretty standard turn signals and headlight buttons on here, and then you also have your windshield wipers. Let's talk steering wheel really quick. It is very comfortable, really nicely padded and very grippy. You're going to have your volume, Bluetooth, and then the buttons that change that center gauge cluster screen. We'll talk about that in 1 second. You'll have your radar guided cruise control buttons right here, and then your music and channel changing, and then your mode button, which is really nice. That's for the infotainment. So moving into the gauge cluster right here, you have two traditional gauges. You'll have your speedometer, and then that kind of morphs into a little fuel gauge, and then you'll have your tachometer and the temp gauge down there. Though this tachometer isn't really a tachometer, it's kind of telling you what the optimal charge is for this car when you're driving, what eco mode looks like, and then the power mode. This basically means you're not doing great fuel economy in here, but you're really gunning it. So that's what all of these mean. When you're on the brake, you're going at slow speeds, you're generally more towards this charging mode. That's for the hybrid system. I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth when we get to the driving segment. But using the controls on the steering wheel, you have a ton of different features here in this center infotainment. You'll have an energy monitor for that hybrid system, and you get this cool little tire pressure monitor with the little graphic of spinning the Camry around. Let's just keep spinning the Camry around. I kid, but a lot of different things that you can mess with. You can turn on and off your different Toyota Safety Sense technologies from in here and really mess with what you want. You can also mess with the heads-up display on here. You can't see it very well, but as we continue to go through here, I just want to give you a look at what some of these settings are. You can mess with the different HUD thing. You can turn it off completely, and then if I hold, you can do the brightness, the position, rotation, things like that. And then if we bring it back out here and we go up, radio, directional stuff, pretty standard, but it's nice to have all of that. As I previously mentioned, under the hood, I'm getting 42.3 miles per gallon average, which isn't terrible, but it is a little bit below the EPA estimated ratings. Now, I have been cranking the air conditioning and using the cooled seats quite a bit because it's been in the upper 80s, low 90s here in Pennsylvania the last week. So that definitely does probably play into that fuel economy a little bit because we've had the air conditioning going. So that is something of note. If we move over here to the infotainment system, it is very well laid out. I like how everything is structured here. This entire center stack looks really nice. But speaking of infotainment, since I've had this for a week, I've really gotten to go through all of this. I've used the Apple CarPlay, which has been effective as always. But one thing I've used is the actual built-in GPS. I thought it would be interesting to use that to see how accurate it is, to see if it's useful at all. And I actually do think it's very useful. I would probably use Apple or Google Maps over this, but if you didn't have a phone for some reason, this does work, and it works very efficiently. So I'm impressed that they left this in, they've left the navigation in, even though people are generally moving over to CarPlay, they didn't skimp on this. If we go to the menu right here, like you'll see a projection, that's for your CarPlay. You have the different apps you can pull up. There is built-in Wi-Fi if you pay for it. There is a subscription service through Toyota for that. And it's a very spiffy screen overall. The CarPlay works well. Unfortunately, it is plug-in only CarPlay. There's no wireless CarPlay in this Camry, so that's a pretty big disappointment, though you get used to it fairly quickly. JBL sound system in here sounds amazing. Unfortunately, I can't play you any music because of copyright issues, and my mic isn't really good enough to pick up how bassy and crisp the music is regardless. You'll have to take my word for it. And then if we move below the infotainment, you have your hazards incorporated in here, and then you will have your climate controls right here with a little digital screen, your power button right there. And then if we move further down, you will have a wireless charger. This is your USB for the Apple CarPlay, and then you have a 12-volt right there. Pretty standard shifter, though you don't want to break something that isn't, or you don't want to fix something that's not broken. That's what I meant to say. You never want to break something. But if we shift it here into reverse, I'm going to talk about the backup camera really quick. Now, it has a top-down view, and if I hit this button right here, as previously mentioned, a 360-degree view. Let me put it in park to show you guys what that looks like. Where it will give you this rotation from the exterior of the car. I think it's very cute. You can change the color of the Camry you want, which is kind of funny. And it also gives you kind of an interior rotation. But frankly, all of the cameras that are incorporated into this look like PS2 graphics. I mean, they look very dated, almost like an RCA monitor. You can see the, even though the screen's kind of flickering here, you can see it actually flickers in real life on these little lines right here. It's nice that it has guiding lines and it has this top-down view. It's very convenient to help you back up, and the sensors really aid in the front, especially with telling you how close you're getting to something. It's just not a very crisp camera, and I know Toyota has more crisp and higher quality cameras. I've seen it on some of their other vehicles that I've reviewed, so I just wish that it was incorporated into this Camry. I believe it's an older system. This is also on the current 3rd gen Tacoma. I've seen a lot of complaints about it on there too, especially for off-roading. They're not very crisp cameras. But the newer Tundra, stuff like that, the new Sequoia, has much higher quality cameras. So it's nice that they at least have updated that. So it's something to talk about of note, but it's not something that's going to remain in the Camry. I can't imagine for many more years that'll be updated eventually. Putting it back into park, you'll have your eco, normal, and sport modes right here, and then automatic hold and your EV mode. Now, what I love about EV mode, and again, I'll talk about this when I'm driving it, is at slow speeds, EV mode will automatically go in and basically save you on fuel economy. And so if you're like stuck in traffic or something, you can just kind of coast in EV mode, and it's really convenient. It's very nice to have. And if you're going below 25 miles per hour, you can hit this button, click into that, and I really like that that's available. You'll have an electronic parking brake right here, and you'll have heated and cooled seats. Like I mentioned, using the cooled seats quite a bit in this. They're very nice. And then if we open this very finely appointed armrest, you'll see 2 USB slots in here. What's nice is one is traditional and one is USB-C. So they have not skimped on the USB-C in here, which is very cool. And I love how this dashboard loops around and how it is textured. I think it's so nice. That really adds to the premium vibe. And at nighttime, this gets accent lighting underneath it. You also get that in the door handles. Very, very comfortable interior. These seats are very plush. They are, of course, power with power lumbar, up, down, back and forward. So that is convenient. And then if we move up here, there is a sunroof. Let me open this up. Just a normal standard sunroof, nothing panoramic in here, but you don't really need that in the Camry. It's nice to have the standard sunroof. You'll have the buttons for that right there in the emergency SOS, and your lighting controls. You get these nice little LEDs right there. And then this is an auto dimming mirror, no camera that turns on or anything like that, but you know, you have all these other cameras incorporated into it. You don't really need the mirror camera on the Camry. And then coming down here, standard visors, little mirror, but that is nice that the light pops on when you open that up. That pretty much wraps up the front for the most part. Let's take a quick look at the back seats. One of the reasons the Camry has remained so popular over the years is because it's a great family hauler. You can bring people and stuff very comfortably, and that remains here on the 23 Camry. I have this seat positioned where I would be sitting up front, and here in the back I have probably 5 or 6 inches of legroom, very comfortable, and I get another 2 or 3 inches of headroom. Now I'm 5'9", and it is very open back here for me. Then if we look at the door panel, this again is nice soft touch. Toyota did not skimp on the back seats. This is soft touch as well, and the one touch down, one touch up windows are also available to the rear seat passengers. That isn't just a front seat thing. And then you do have some storage cup holder right here, kind of a dual purpose. And then you have more storage behind the seats, 2 climate vents, which is great. It would be nice to have a USB or a USB-C right here, though I'm sure you can route that through the center armrest if you wanted to. And then if we come over here, you do have a fold down armrest. If your entire back seat isn't full, you can rest comfortably here, and you'll get 2 cup holders. Like always, I don't know if I've ever seen a car that just has the fold down armrest but no cup holders. Always get the cup holders there. And then these seats are just as comfortable back here as they are up front. And the last thing I wanted to mention is you do get nice little dome lights here. I find it funny how LEDs are so bright now that they're just these little tiny lights, and they light up the rear just as much as a traditional bulb would. But it's convenient to have that back here. Overall, like I said, very comfortable for rear seat passengers. Driving the Camry. This is exciting and very different for me as a car reviewer, because traditionally I get about 20 or 30 minutes behind the wheel of each of the vehicles that I review. But because Toyota graciously lent me this Camry for the week, I've been able to take it on a few road trips, and I've driven it on highways, on back winding roads, at high speeds, slow speeds. I've tried the EV mode and the sport mode and eco, and I've really gotten a much better feel for this car than I would have if I just walked into a dealership like I normally do and reviewed the car in my kind of normal format. So I'm actually really excited to talk about this, because my impressions are a lot deeper than I think they would normally be in a driving segment. So this car is incredibly comfortable. It's very smooth on the road. It grips corners really well. And I live kind of out in the country, so there's a lot of these winding roads. I'm on one now, and it handles it so well. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of body roll. You wouldn't expect that. It's a smaller sedan. It's not a big pickup truck, but the seats are incredibly comfortable, especially on long road trips. This does not feel taxing to sit in, especially with the cooled seats and with how hot it's been outside. It is amazing to sit in here, and the bolstering is very comfortable. The sport mode firms up the suspension a good deal, and it definitely does feel a bit peppier than it does on something like the Eco mode, which is what I traditionally drove on. I drove on Eco for the most part, and it was good. Stuck to highway speeds, especially to help with that fuel economy, and it just handled very, very well. I think some of the standout highlights are blind spot monitoring, which I always love. Again, I wish my truck had that. I didn't get the highest trim with that at the time, but it's very useful, especially on the highway. And rear cross traffic alert I've found to be very useful as well. When you're backing up, it kind of lets you know, oop, there's another car coming. That's super helpful and really adds to the safety that this car has. It feels very safe in here, but it really feels like it comes with all the bells and whistles here, and is fairly affordable for a mid-size sedan. So I would definitely recommend this, and with Toyota's track record of reliability, how smooth the car is and comfortable, I would definitely say if you're looking for a car in this category, check out the Camry. Well, that's just about going to wrap up my review of the 2023 Toyota Camry XLE Hybrid. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I want to extend a massive thanks to Toyota for allowing me to borrow this car for an entire week. If you would have told me 4 years ago when I first started doing car reviews that Toyota would send me a press car, I don't think I would have believed you. But here we are. Before I go, I'd like to mention that I am a Christian, and if you have any prayer requests, I'd love to be able to pray for you guys. You can leave those in the comment section below. And lastly, I'd like to close out on a weekly scriptural reading. This week's is James 1, verse 17. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Take care.